first. So we hit F7 to toggle between, or just hit this button right here. And now we're in easy
installed. We also can see where we have that memory installed, like what slot, and you know, the speed of it as well. And we can enable or disable XMP. So just simple toggle to enable or disable, really easy to go ahead and do that. Right down here we have our fan profile. So this is going to show every fan or pump header on the board. And if you have something connected, it will show that speed in real time. So you can see our speeds going here in real time. Up top here, we have a live graph of our CPU temperature, and then a live readout of the voltages on our performance cores and our efficiency cores on our processor. Moving down, we have storage information. As you can see, we have 2 NVMe drives installed, and they are listed here. We can also enable or disable Intel Rapid Storage technology. We can see our CPU fan curve here, and if we actually click QFan Control, this gives us a nice interface to really set our fan curves, again, for each header on the board. Really easy to go ahead and do that, and this interface just makes it super, super simple. Over here, we have AI overclocking. You can switch this to AI optimized or normal. You can just toggle that. Simple, easy overclock that you don't have to do anything. It does it all for you. And then under boot priority, so I only have one boot device, but if I had multiple, I could drag and drop them right here. And then if you click on this boot menu, it just brings up a list of what you have available for boot options. So really easy. Everything's in here that you would need. XMP, boot priority. Really easy to go ahead and see everything. Also up top, we have this AI OC guide. So if we click this, this gives you a rundown of how to use the AI overclocking and everything like that. It gives you all of the information about it and everything. So if you're like, what is AI overclocking? What does it actually do? You have so much information here, which is just really, really awesome. And I'm really glad that it's in the BIOS. You don't have to be going on your phone or looking stuff up on the internet. It's all right here. Really like that they've gone ahead and do that. We have a search, so you can go ahead and search this BIOS. If you're looking for a specific setting, you can just search for it, which is really nice. We have Aura. So these are your different Aura modes. You can have all on, stealth mode, Aura only, or Aura off. And I like that it tells you which each one does, because if we just click on this, you know, we just have the setting to change. And we also have resizable bar here. Of course, with the new motherboard, this is enabled by default. But if for some reason you want to turn it off, you can go ahead and turn it off. But again, that is everything in easy mode. We also do have a new thing in this BIOS called Q Dashboard. So you can see it's right down here, or we just hit the insert key on our keyboard. But if we click this, this essentially gives us a bird's eye view of our motherboard and our rear I/O ports. And if we have something populating that port or slot or whatever it is, it's going to tell us what it is. So if I hover over my CPU, we can see we have our Core Ultra 9 285K. If we hover over our graphics card, you can see we have an RTX 4080 Super. Say even our USB port, so I have a keyboard connected. It knows that it's the Corsair K55 core. So we have all of that, which is really awesome. But the really cool thing is that, say we want to change some settings. So our memory, it shows all of the information on our memory. But if I click on this, it's going to go into the advanced mode in the actual BIOS and go to the settings. So again, this is the memory. But if we say go to our M.2, and it's going to go to our M.2 settings. So really cool that you have that within the BIOS. If you're just like wondering, or if you just want to even see, like sometimes you don't install your M.2 correctly or something, or maybe you don't push in your memory all the way, this is going to show you if it's being detected by the BIOS and everything like that. So really easy way to see that. And of course, go to the settings for each specific piece of hardware. So really, really like that. Now, we are going to go into advanced mode. So again, to toggle between, you just hit F7. Super easy to toggle between easy mode and advanced mode. Now, when you are dropped into advanced mode, you will be on this main tab. This is going to give you all your information on your BIOS and the processor information, as well as security, so you can set an administrator password or a user password. You also have a My Favorites menu. So any setting that's in the BIOS, you can add into your My Favorites. So if there's something that you're changing all of the time, you can go ahead and add it into here, so you don't have to go find it each time or go through multiple menus. Now, where you're going to do all of your system tuning is going to be under Extreme Tweaker. So Extreme Tweaker, we go into this, and one, it's going to give us all of our targets for our frequencies, our speeds, everything like that. It's all set up here. So as you make changes, these numbers will change. So it's going to let you know, like, okay, if you change this, your target speed's going to be this. It's kind of nice that they have that. Now, under Performance Preferences, it's going to be Intel Default Settings. This, of course, was put into a lot of BIOSes because Intel had a lot of issues with 13th and 14th gen processors. All BIOSes will be Intel Default Settings. Now, you can change this. But before we do, the Intel Default Settings, we have Performance or Extreme. If we select one of these, it tells us what it's going to do. So again, it says load the Intel Performance Delivery Profiles. ICC Max is set to 347 amps, blah, 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 blah. It's going to tell us. So again, if we set, instead of Performance, if we set it to Extreme, it's going to tell us what it does on the Extreme profile. So I really like that. Very transparent on what it's actually doing. So I really, really like that. So those are the two settings that you do have. And again, each time it's going to tell you what it does. Now you can change from Intel default settings to ASUS Advanced OC Profile. And again, it tells you that it removes the power limits and safeguards and things like that. So it's nice that it does tell you. That does open up some more options, but we're going to stick to Intel default settings for now. And then we have certain things. So AI Overclock Tuner, if you have XMP profile, you just want to set it to whichever XMP profile that you want. If you have multiple on your kit, you can select it there. And then we have NPU boost. So of course, these new Core Ultra processors do have an NPU for AI tasks. And this is away from what ASUS says. I haven't really got into this that much, but you can essentially boost or overclock the NPU. There's 3 different levels here. Pretty nice that that's built into the BIOS if you are doing any overclocking stuff and you want some more performance. And then we have all of our other settings like BCLK, our frequencies. Of course, we can see all of the XMP profiles that are available on our kit here. We also have, let me try to move this down here. Oops, we also have performance core ratios and efficiency core ratios, DRAM frequency. So if you're overclocking your memory, you just want to select a different speed. It's really easy to go ahead and do that here. We also have dim flex. And again, I haven't gotten that much into dim flex, but if you're running really high frequency DDR5, it can overheat. This essentially puts in controls for temperature on your memory and allows you, if you have good cooling, to get better performance out of your memory. So you have that. Then we have AVX related controls right here. We have DRAM timing control. And again, we have your memory presets. So there's certain memory presets built in here. And then we have dim fit as well. So dim fit essentially means that if you're running memory and you're having trouble getting it to boot, this is going to go ahead and help you with that. So that's definitely nice. Or if you're running like 2 different kits, which you should never do, but I believe this will help you get those 2 kits to run at the same speed so you can get your system to boot up correctly. So really like that. Then we have all of our timings here. So all of our timings, you can go ahead and scroll through and see everything. You also get SKU control, memory training algorithms. Again, tons of timings. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. We have miscellaneous timings, and then we have things like fast boot, all that kind of stuff. And then, memory, dynamic frequency switching. You have all that kind of stuff in here. Really deep stuff if you want to go into it. I know most people won't. So that's DRAM timing control. You have Digi plus VRM, so that's everything to do with power and VRM control. And again, you can change all of these things. Load line calibrations are in here. Everything is in here and really easy to go ahead and find. Internal CPU power management. So if we go into this is everything to do with CPU power and temperatures, and again, like your ICC max is in here. All that kind of stuff that you would use for overclocking and things like that, it's all right in here. Thermal velocity boost. So in here, we can see our thermal velocity boost optimizations. You can enable or disable those. And again, this is the boost based on temperature for Intel processor. So you can change some of this stuff if you want to. Max voltage limits. This allows you to set a max limit on a bunch of different things. All right in here to set a max voltage limit on all of that. We have our offsets for performance and efficiency cores. And then we have our Tweaker's Paradise, which again has a ton of settings in it. Half of them I honestly don't know what they all do. But one thing I found interesting was the switch microcodes. So like if you're updating the microcodes, you can essentially switch them or like roll back maybe what this gives you, which is actually kind of cool. But there are a ton of different settings here in Tweaker's Paradise, a lot to go through. Again, I'm not going to go over all of it, but all of those like deep settings are all right in here. And then we have our AI features. So again, this is just going to give you like different things for the AI overclocking. You can recalibrate the cooler, cooler reevaluation algorithms. You can do all that because it's going to overclock your system. The AI overclocking is going to overclock your system based on temperature. So you can kind of tune that a little bit in here if you want to. And then we have our ratios for our CPU graphics and caches and things like that. Extreme overvoltage. More of all of our voltages. So our number of voltage settings are all right here, like DRAM and everything like that. And then we have advanced memory voltages that you can go ahead and change here as well. So tons of stuff in this extreme tweaker. I think Asus has almost every setting that like any extreme overclocker would want. It's all in here. It can be very daunting for a first-time user, but most of you guys, we won't have to change any of this stuff. You can kind of set it by default and you'll be good to go here. Now under advanced, this is where you're going to find everything else on the board. So we'll go back since this put us back here from, there we go. Put us in there when we were doing the Q dashboard, but platform misconfiguration. This is a bunch of different settings for that. We have CPU configuration. So again, we can see like efficient core information, performance core information. And again, we can enable or disable things like virtualization. We can enable or disable cores, CPU power management control. Again, this is where you can enable things like speed step, speed shift, boost performance modes, C states, all things like that you can set here. System agent configuration. And again, we can do like memory configuration, graphics configuration, VMD is in here, and PCI Express configuration is all in here as well. PCH configuration. So PCI Express configuration, again, you can set your link speeds and things like that here. PCH storage configuration. So this is all your storage ports on the actual board itself, and you can set all those if you want to. PCH firmware configuration. So this is your TPM device selection. Thermal configuration. Intel Innovation Platform Framework. I honestly do not know what that is. All your TPM stuff, trusted computing, is all right here. We have UEFI variable protection, PCI subsystem stuff. So this is, again, if you wanted to enable or disable resizable bar, again, you can easily do it up here, but it is in the advanced settings as well. USB configuration, again, and then each port on the system you can enable or disable. So if you wanted to, for some reason, disable USB ports, you can do it here. Network stack configuration, NVMe configuration. Again, you can go into each drive. So again, I have two drives here, and we can see all of our information, run self-action tests, things like that. We have SSD smart information. We have APM configuration and Thunderbolt configuration and add-on card configuration and onboard devices configuration. Again, this is where you might want to change some things. So you can enable or disable like USB audio, your LAN controllers, USB power delivery on soft states, Wi-Fi controller, Bluetooth controller. Also, your LED lighting is in here as well, so you can set all that stuff up. So you have all of that right there. Intel rapid storage technology. Don't have anything connected for that. So that is everything that is in the advanced setting. Again, lots of stuff, but this is everything essentially that's on your board that you can configure. Under monitor here, we have our temperature monitor, which is going to give us our temperatures in real time here. We have our fan speed monitor, which again is going to show us our fan speeds in real time. Voltage monitor right here. QFan configuration, which again is the same thing as QFan, but just doesn't have the graphical interface that we saw before, but it has everything. And we have CPU temperature LED switch. So if you enable or disable this, this will put there's an LED on the board that will let you know if you have a really high CPU temperature. So it's going to like let you know that on the board. You can enable or disable that. Under boot, we just have secure boots, boot configuration. So again, we can go in here and see all of our boot, settings, our boot options, and then we do have boot override. I always say that I love to see boot override because it makes it really easy to install Windows from a flash drive, and then when it does that reboot, it's not going to try to reboot from that flash drive. It's going to boot right into that Windows installation. So really, really like that. Under tools, we have, oops, we were already back in this PD information here. Let's go back. So we have Asus Easy Flash 4. This allows you to easily flash your BIOS. I used this to update the BIOS on this already. Super simple and easy to do. Put your BIOS in a flash drive, and you'll find it in here, and you'll be good to go. BIOS image rollback support. So this allows you to roll back your BIOS, which is pretty cool. Asus Secure Erase. So this allows you to secure and erase an SSD. Really like that. Flex key. So the flex key is the key that's next to the power button on the physical motherboard. This is essentially like a hotkey. So you can set it to do different things. So by default, it's set to the reset, but you can make it do different things if you want to. Full HD setup, which is what we're in now. BIOS Q dashboard, that's the Q dashboard that I showed you guys. SPD information, which we've gone into. User profiles, so again, you can save and load profiles here. My hotkey, so you can actually set your own hotkeys in the BIOS itself. So you know how we have hotkeys like F7 goes between easy mode and advanced mode? We can make F3 and F4 be certain hotkeys within the BIOS, which is pretty cool. And then we have Asus driver hub. So when you install Windows for the first time, it is by default going to download and install Asus driver hub, which essentially allows you to install all the drivers that you need and things like Armory Crate and everything like that. By default, it is enabled. If you don't want that, you can just disable it here. Now, the first time you restart after it's installed, it won't ask you again. So it's not like you have to change this after the first time you install it. So, and then we just have exits. We can load, optimize defaults. We can save changes and reset. We can discard changes and launch EFI shell from USB drives. Also, I didn't mention over here, we do have information, on our CPU and memory all right here. And then our prediction, it gives the cool, for the AI overclocking, it gives the cooler points, and it's going to give you what it's going to do for the AI overclocking right here. But overall, this BIOS is really easy to get to the settings that you need, not only for a novice, but for an experienced user as well. It's really snappy. It's one of the best BIOSes, and if you are an extreme overclocker, Asus really does give you every setting that you would want. And again, as you saw, I was scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Remember that you do have your my favorites. So any of those down deep in the setting that you have, you can add to my favorites and you'll be good. But that is it for my, I know this is a long video, but my quick overview of the BIOS here on the ROG Maximus Z890 Hero motherboard. If you have any questions about this BIOS, if you're looking for a specific setting or anything like that, leave a comment below and I will definitely try